All right, Danky Dank. We were lucky enough to see advanced screenings of the new Spider-Man movie and pretty incredible stuff. What did you like best?
I really like the part when
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am Chris Maselli from Locked On Avalanche. He is mixtape Adam Denky Denker from the Locked On Lightning show. It is Power Ranking Thursday, and we will get to all of that good stuff, but some breaking action as we're right before we're recording this. And if you're wondering why we're laughing, check out the YouTube version of this show right now because it's fun. Anyway, some milestones being set in the NHL right before we hit the record button. And what might they be?
So we first, actually, two of them coming from the same game tonight. We got OV tying former Lightning captain David Andreychuk for all time in power play goals at 274. Ovi's, as we all know, Ovi's having an insane year. It doesn't look like he's on pace to score like 65 goals right now. It's insane. And on the other side of that, we got Patrick Kane becoming the fifth active player to reach the 700 assist mark, joining Joe Thornton, Sidney Crosby, Nicholas Backstrom, and Ryan Getzlaf.
And that's in the same game, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So if you're there watching that game, you're seeing history two times over. A lot of history making stuff going on just in sports, even with Steph Curry doing his 3-point thing at MSG the other day.
Yeah.
So, which is good to see. You don't see a lot of like records being broken, in sports right now. So it's nice to get these things every once in a while.
Well, have you ever seen a record broken in person?
I mean, nothing is standing out at the top of my head, so I would say no. If there was something that I witnessed, I would probably have remembered it. So nothing that's jumping out at me.
I think I don't know if this counts. I saw Mark McGuire pass Harmon Killebrew for whatever spot on the all-time home runs list years ago. So I guess that was cool. But I mean, obviously, everything we know now about stuff.
I was going to say, once he passed 30, I don't think that matters anymore. Once he got past 30 on the list, everything else after that is asterisk.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't think I have. And that's the cool thing about it. You never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And even like no hitters in baseball, it's just like that can happen any game. And I've never witnessed one of those. That'd be
What's more exciting, a no hitter or a hat trick? Because each are almost as equally rare to see.
God, that's really good. I don't know. Well, is the no hitter a perfect game no hitter? Because that's even more rare.
Are we talking about a no hitter by today's MLB standards, where you have 7 pitchers pitch and 8
that's
walks?
No. Screw that. No, that doesn't count. Oh, it counts. But if I saw it in person, I'd be like, I kind of saw a no hitter.
Yeah.
I don't know. A hat trick is fun. A hat trick is good if it's your team.
Right.
I'll say that. If it's the other team, no, I don't want any part of that. I don't know. That's a good question though. So, all right. Well, congratulations to those guys. Not that they really need it. They're heading straight to Toronto. But we have some power rankings to get to, sir. And neither one of us were here last week, so we really didn't get to it.
Yeah. Thanks to Gil from Locked On Islanders for covering us.
Absolutely. He's kind of like our third wheel here. Like we love Gil.
He's like our shadow host.
Fills in. So if you're watching on YouTube, let's throw them up on the screen. And if you are not watching on YouTube, I'll kind of read through the top 10. And like we always do, we'll break some stuff down. So the Carolina Panthers, wrong sport, dude. The Florida Panthers remain at number 1. The Washington Capitals move up to number 2. The Maple Leafs move down to number 3. The Minnesota Wild move up to number 4. The Carolina Hurricanes move down to number 5. Your Tampa Bay Lightning move up to number 6. The New York Rangers move down to number 7. My Avalanche move up to number 8. The Ducks move up to number 9. And the Flames round out the top 10 at number 10 from number 8. A lot of up and down in that top 10.
Yeah.
Kind of those teams pretty much remain the same. The rankings have changed between that top 10, but a lot of movement. The only spot that did not move, and you can see it right there, is the Florida Panthers. I did not have them. This was the first time in a very long time I did not have them when I voted at number 1. I put the Maple Leafs at number 1 for this week.
I did too.
I kind of felt like I had to. And not because they wiped the floor with my Avalanche, but I just think they are the most complete team right now. Not to say that Panthers and the Capitals are not. They're right there too, but I just feel like the Maple Leafs are the best team in the league right now.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. The Leafs have really started to come on in the last couple of weeks. 7-2-1, their last 10 on a 2-game winning streak. Most points in the league right now. And they're doing all this without Mitch Marner, who just went on injured reserve. So we'll see how long he's out for. But the fact that they're doing,
are they saying or no?
I think it's upper body. I can't be too sure. I should know this because he's on my fantasy team. But yeah, I think the Maple Leafs are by far the best team in the league right now, and I really am happy. I think you are as well. That we're starting to see maybe a shift in terms of the Panthers are not long for the number 1 spot on the rankings.
You're not sold on them, are you?
No, not at all.
Really?
I think this might be a divisional thing as well. I'm a little biased because they are in.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So
yeah,
there may be that. I mean, they are a good team. They're very tough, but I feel like it was, and we kind of spoke about this probably a couple of weeks ago, but really I think it goes back to how is this team going to stack up once the top teams like the Leafs, like the Lightning, who are starting to get together, like your Avalanche, once these top teams who we see are normally at the top of the league, once they get their act together, how are the Panthers really going to be able to contend with that? And we're starting to see it now.
Well, they just had a game against the Avs that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you have ESPN Plus and you can go back and watch games, from earlier in the week, and you have time, go watch that game. It was a knockout prize fight from beginning to end. So Panthers hung tough. I wasn't expecting them to just roll over. That was a great hockey game. But I think they're legit. I think they're for real. I think they have a really good team. I think they could really make a strong push straight to the end, if you ask me. But you have good teams in their way. I mean, let's see, East Coast to West Coast in the top 10. How many East Coast teams you have? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's not quite 50-50. So, and then the only West you have are Minnesota, the Avalanche, the Ducks, and the Flames, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of leans towards the East Coast team. So
yeah,
they have a lot to go through to get to a Stanley Cup final. So that's where they stand. Did you think that the Flames held on? I think they're hurting because of this COVID stuff going on with them. Should they get dinged for that, or just because the other teams are playing games and winning and losing games, it's just natural, or they're just going to fall a little bit?
I think they're going to just fall a little bit because I think a lot of people are probably expecting once they get back to, all their players being off COVID, that they're going to struggle a little bit, not being able to play for a couple of games. And that's the kind of thing that we saw that last year that affected a lot of teams that were hit by COVID, that they weren't really able to get it together, or they struggled for the most part. Look at what happened at Dallas last year in the beginning of the season. They were coming off a Stanley Cup final appearance, and by all accounts, on paper, it looked like they were ready to make another deep push into the playoffs, and then they hit COVID and wasn't able to play for 2 weeks to start the season, and they just ran into a gauntlet of good teams, obviously
Right.
playing in that Southern division that we had. So, all it takes is something like this to kind of derail a season for a team. And maybe on the other side of that, also, maybe all it takes is something like this to get a team to maybe just decompress for a week or so and maybe turn things around. So you really don't know. I mean, we can't really say for sure yet what kind of effect this is going to have on the Flames.
Yeah, because it'd be interesting to see how they come back, because going into these canceled games, they had lost 4 in a row. So when they do come back, are they going to be pressing too much for multiple reasons, just because they're back out playing again and they want to just go, or are they going to press too much? They lost 4 in a row. They want to get back in the win column as much. They're going to be an interesting team to watch. The team that is above them in our power rankings and above them in the Pacific, the number 1 Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim moved up from number 12 last week to number 9. So back into the top 10 for the Ducks. Is this team for real? Or is this just they're riding a wave longer than we thought they would be?
I'm going to admit that I haven't watched a whole ton of Ducks games this year, but the West is pretty competitive. We all know that. And the fact that they're tied with the St. Louis Blues for the second most points in the West. And I've gotten a chance the last couple of weeks to see the Blues twice play the Lightning, so I know they're a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to say I'm sold on the Ducks. I mean, you obviously covering a team in the West may have a different opinion. Are you thinking that they're legit, or is there still more that we need to see out of this team?
No, I think they're legit in fact, in the fact of that they could get a playoff spot. Do I see them staying at number 1 in this division? No. I can't envision that happening. They're playing well. I think they can continue that for a little while. But Calgary is a good team, and hopefully, like, they can get back out on the ice and start playing games at a normal clip. I think they will unseat them, and Vegas is right there. Vegas is just another, every day that passes is another day where they get closer to putting Jack Eichel out on that ice, and they're lurking. Vegas is lurking. So you have Vegas is in the end, I think, going to be better than the Ducks. Record wise, I think Calgary will. And another team that I want to talk about after the break, Edmonton. What's going on with Edmonton? But first, we are going to hear from Stat Hero. No one plays daily fantasy sports to lose. Winning feels so much better, but traditional fantasy sports are a long-term losing proposition because you never know who or what you are up against. Stat Hero is the first of its kind daily fantasy sports platform where it is you versus the house in head-to-head fantasy matchup, and it's winner take all. The crazy part, Stat Hero shows you their lineup before you play, and you handpick the team you want to face them one-on-one. This is never before seen innovation of a fantasy sport and sport betting hybrid, as Stat Hero players clocking odds that are over 4 times better. And why? Because you don't have to compete against thousands of experts or unknowns. Stat Hero puts you in control of your fate. And with Stat Hero, you're in control of the stakes. You decide how much you're going to play for, and Stat Hero has no choice but to take it because they're daring you to beat them. Stat Hero head-to-head is what daily fantasy sports should be. One-on-one. So sign up for free right now at stathero.com/hockey. Use the promo code hockey for a 100% deposit match. That is stathero.com/hockey with the promo code hockey, and you get that 100% deposit match. Terms and conditions do apply. Also brought to you by Stance, and I did receive some Stance product in the mail. I don't know if you have yet, but
I have.
Yeah, so I got some socks and some nice boxer briefs, which I just got them today, so I haven't tried them yet, but they feel pretty good in the hand, I have to say that. So they were founded in 2009, and Stance is an apparel company that represents a radical reinvention of socks, underwear, and active apparel. With a sharp focus on comfort, quality, and creativity, Stance brings an atypical aesthetic alongside some pop culture's hottest collaborators. for the ultimate in style and self-expression, because everything you wear should be a direct extension of who you are and how you feel. Stance believes that the perfect fit matters more than fitting in, that those who feel good do good. Go see for yourself. Register for an account at stance.com. Get 15% off of your first purchase with the promo code Locked On. Enjoy the color and comfort of a life less ordinary with Stance. Okay, back to the power rankings. And yeah, Edmonton, we liked to jump on them and sing their praises early in the year when they had started hot. And, they are one of those teams where people are going to have their arms folded until they, bring a cup home. People are going to be like, sorry, we're not going to give you an inch until you prove, you can go all the way. Now they are losers of 6 in a row. They're number 11 in our ranking, so they're just out of the top 10. I had them lower. I had them a few clicks lower than 11. But just overall, what's going on with Edmonton?
I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think really what it comes down to with this team is that given the market and given the 2 players on their team, I think it really comes down to that if this team is not at the top of the NHL standings, I think maybe those in Edmonton or those looking at the team are kind of looking at them and like, obviously this team's not getting it done. What's going on? But we also need to realize that this team is like any other team in the NHL. They go through their ups and downs. But yeah, I mean, when you have, then again, on the other side of that, when you have Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, 2 of the best players in the world,
yeah,
and you're not dominating, because yes, I mean, it kind of drops off in terms of once you get down the lines, but still to have them like this, I had them a little higher just because I think I've said this before, is that to have Connor McDavid, David, and Draisaitl on your team, I think you need to always rank these guys in the top 5 regardless, unless, they're just having a Arizona Coyotes type season.
I don't play that game. I can't.
I always have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
But that's the exact reason why they're low for me, is that exact same reason. You have those guys. And I'm sorry, but a Edmonton Oiler team should never lose 6 games in a row. I think once you get to 4 games, once you lose 4 games in a row, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl will be like, okay, we got this. We're getting back in the win column tonight.
Yeah.
And to continue to lose 6 games in a row with those 2 guys, yeah, you don't have the depth. I get that on team, and your goalie situation is a little, all over the place right now. But those 2 guys should be able to put this team on their back and say, we're scoring 8 points tonight. We're scoring 8 goals tonight, and get back in the win column. I just think they're too talented. You have 2 of the top. What would you say, Draisaitl and McDavid? Top 3 players in the league. If you're listening, top 3 players in the league, you have 2 of them, and they don't even play on the same line. So for the majority of the game, those 2 guys are out there, and that's a big ask for the other. That's a big matchup challenge, and they're just to lose 6 in a row, I think, is inexcusable to me. I don't know. I get why you're saying, because they're on. They are who they are. They're always going to be upper echelon guys. That's true, and they're producing. It's not. I just feel the opposite. They should be able to pull that team out from a 6-game losing streak.
Now, we kind of hit the nail on the head a couple of weeks back with the Flyers and AV being on the out and possibly Torts coming back. Are we? Do we
heard it
dare?
Here first?
Yeah. If you look at the timestamps, we were the first one to talk about it. Do we dare talk about a coaching change up in Edmonton at this point? Do you think if things start to be underwhelming up at Edmonton as the season progresses, are we going to see a coaching change, or is that more of an off-season?
No, that they would really need to fall off a cliff that would not be able to get back up from. I mean, you go changing coaches now with that team, you lose the team. It's different when you're doing things with, like, the Flyers in Vancouver. It's not going well for them.
Bruce, there it is.
Can't. Bruce, you didn't. but those teams you're making changes because where else are you going to go?
Yeah.
So, and we can talk about them. Like, look at what's happened since then, especially with Vancouver. What are they, 5 in a row?
Yeah.
Bruce Boudreau, 5-0 since he's taken over.
All it takes is something like that to turn a team around.
Just a different message in the locker room, and he's a player's coach. So they moved up to 23, which is only a couple spots. What were they, 26 last week? So they moved up a couple, but a couple of those games that we're talking about that they won were a couple of days ago. So that might not have been taken into account for this power ranking, but. And then the Flyers are at 25. They actually moved down one, but they have won 3 in a row as well.
Yeah. Winners of their last 3, starting to pick it up. 6-1 in their last 10. You got to chalk up probably 6 of those being right before they got on this 3-game winning streak. So, looks like they're starting to turn around. Still a lot of ground to make up for in the Metropolitan. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like going back to Edmonton, I feel like you got to give them the benefit of the doubt just because you said it yourself on any given night. Connor McDavid and Draisaitl are that good to where they could carry the team. We've seen what McDavid's been doing over the last month where he just has these moments where he just skates all the way down the ice through 5 defenders and just embarrasses the goaltender. I mean, the guy can't do that on every single night. It's a team sport.
Well, and I guess I mean, I did mention like they struggle with depth. Yeah. So, and maybe I'm putting too much pressure on those 2 guys. They're doing everything that they can. I mean, they're still scoring points. And yeah, they're on line 1 and line 2. But those aren't the only 2 lines that play all night. You got lines 3 and line 4 that, maybe that's where the disconnect is and where these other teams are taking advantage. There's nothing that they can do about that. So, I don't know. I just didn't think that I would see a 6-game losing streak for Edmonton this year. I didn't think it was going to happen. What are you going to say?
I just think that maybe because we spoke about this in the offseason when there was, all that turmoil surrounding the team and Gretzky leaving. Mm-hmm. You got to chalk this up to upper management because really, I mean, I'm looking at their lines right now and I mean, your third line is Colton Sheever, Derek Ryan, and Zach Kassian.
Who?
Exactly. Exactly. And then Tyler Benson, Devin Shore, and Kyle Turris on your 4th. So I wasn't kidding when I said that after your second line with Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and Nugent Hopkins, you don't have much to go out there. These guys kind of have to do it all themselves, and that's not a winning recipe. That's not how you win cups.
Very true. All right. What do we? All right. We'll hear from Primal, Origin Oils, and then keep this conversation going. I don't know where we're going to bring it now, but we'll talk. All right.
We shall talk.
We shall talk. Primal Origin Oils. You got beard? You better get Primal. If you or someone you care about has a beard, it needs Primal Origin Oils. Maybe you're that guy who's never considered the benefits of treating your beard with a product. Primal Origin Oils will stop the itch and make your beard look and feel healthy and groomed. The products are free from harmful synthetic ingredients and with a low impact on our planet. Primal Origin Oils makes balms, oils, and whipped butters that are renowned as the best feel and beard product available. All products are fair trade certified and handcrafted in the USA, and the combo kits make a great holiday gift. If you are shopping for yourself, you will be glad that you did. And we know that every company claims to have the best, but Primal Origin Oils challenges you to compare their products with other beard care products on the market and guaranteed to be better than any beard products that you have used previously. We promise you will see and feel the difference. Remember, you can use the promo code LOCKEDON and you'll get 20% off at primaloriginoils.com. Once again, that promo code is LOCKEDON for 20% off. primaloriginoils.com. All right. What else we got here? So maybe some teams that you think are too low, too high, teams that you're kind of targeting for next week.
Well, I want to talk about the bottom of the list because finally we start to see the Islanders get the respect they deserve.
They do.
And when I say that, they're finally starting to move down more.
I mean, I think we're there. They can't do anything else.
This
That's
is
where
it.
they're going to be.
This is it. And I've seen on Twitter, and I've obviously some of our, but some of our listeners may not know. I live in the New York area, so I'm very much hear about, from Islander fans, and they still think that they have a chance to turn it around.
No, Islanders fans, you don't. And I'm with you. Like I would be okay with it because I want my Stanley Cup final to come to fruition. But I think it's time to understand the reality of the situation. That you are 7, 12, and 5 with 19 points, and it's over.
We called this in the offseason. Well, I did, because you had them as your pick in the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe.
Yep.
They don't have anybody who could score on a nightly basis. They don't. Lou Lamoriello just picks guys that he likes, mostly former Devils. And what is that proven? I mean, yeah, they've had two. But all bets are off in the playoffs, and the game changes you play the game very drastically different than what you play in the regular season. We've seen that. And the Islanders, they're a playoff team. They're built for the playoffs, but they're not built for the regular season.
Well, and then your Lightning are like that. Like I mean, they're having a very good regular season, but the Lightning are that team that it's like, we don't care what seed we are, just get us into the playoffs, and then we'll just do our thing. And I think the Islanders are built that way a little bit, but
the Islanders don't have somebody on every line that could score and play the game both ways.
No.
The Lightning do. And
no, it's a different. They're built differently for sure. But I got their stats here. So obviously Matthew Barzal is number 1 in scoring. He's got 17 points in the season. 17
also
points
on COVID protocol too. So,
and he is. So, 17 points, and he's played 23 games. So you're nowhere near a point a game.
Yeah.
Wahlstrom has 13 points in 24 games. Brock Nelson has 12 points in 17 games. And then you have Peugeot is 9 points in 23 games. So you're right. They lack the scoring power but when you play a defensive game, sometimes you can get away with that. But if your defense is off, you are screwed. And that's where they are right now. Let me see what their goals for and goals against are, because it's probably disgusting. 51 goals for and 72 goals against. That's not, I mean, that's not a good goals for. Let me see who's worse than them. The only one worse than them is the Coyotes. It's the only team worse than them in goals for. Goals against 72. That's not horrible. So again, like they're playing defense, but they're not scoring. Clear as day, they're not scoring. and there's nothing on the horizon that's going to save them. So I just thought I was holding out hope, as if to say, yeah, they're not scoring right now, but something will click, something will turn up the heat or whatever. It's not happening. We're mid-December. Christmas is around the corner. I was trying to pull this thing out to at least Christmas, and if there was some semblance of improvement, I'd say, like, I'm still there with the Islanders. We can maybe, it's going to be a long haul. It might go up to the last game of the season where you get a wild card spot. I'm jumping ship.
Yeah, I'm glad that you finally had a breakthrough in your fandom of the Islanders, because I didn't want to break out the letter that I wrote for you. Actually, over here where it says,
"Oh, you wrote me a letter, dude? That's nice."
Yes, Chris, I hate the person you become when you talk about the Islanders.
That's it.
That's it.
That took you 4 hours to write too, right?
4 hours.
Man.
And it seems as though the general consensus is that they're going to make a deadline move, which who are you going to bring in that's going to turn everything around? And
pointless.
Yeah,
pack it. But by the time, if you make a deadline move and you're still in this position, you're not going to do that. You're not making a deadline move to improve your standing. No, call it by the trade deadline, pack it in. You're a good team. You just had a rough hand dealt. Pack it in, start, make some deals for next year. Maybe get a first round pick or something for somebody. I don't know, but you can come back strong next year. I'm not saying this is going to be a rebuild for the Islanders, but
I would have called time of death back in October, just by the way this team started. Why are you going to make a deadline deal so you could finish 10 points behind the Penguins for the last playoff spot?
Yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And look who's in their division. You have Washington, you have Carolina, you have the Rangers, and you have the Penguins, who are playing better again too. They've won as a 5 in a row. You're not catching those teams. You're just not. You're 21 points behind Washington. So, that's your what the hell is this?
And then I would just like to throw one last team out there because I really got on their bandwagon the same way you got on the Islanders bandwagon, and they've made an absolute fool of me since then. The Dallas Stars, I really thought they were going to make a big jump, and they've lost 4 in a row. And they're 6-4 over their last 10, so not bad, but still not a good look for a team that's still trying to make ground in the Central Division.
I think they're too high on our list. They're number 18 on our list. They did drop 4 spots. So, it's not a free fall. And so because they had played well, they had won, I think they'd won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
That propped them up a little bit. So yeah, they've lost more recently. So they're not going to free fall into the mid 20s. They dropped 4 spots to 18, which I think is the biggest drop for the week. Just looking over these numbers quickly, I think it is. So yeah, but they're struggling. They put Anton Khudobin on waivers. Ben Bishop retired. I was never sold on the Stars to begin with, and I just think they're an aging team. They have some really good young players. Don't get me wrong. They have some really, really good young players. But I think this is what you're going to get from Dallas. I think you're going to get this up and down. Like they're going to rattle off 3 or 4 wins in a row and follow that up with 3 or 4 losses in a row.
Yeah. So. Real quick before we wrap things up.
Yeah.
One team that you're high on that you're going to pick to make the biggest jump.
The biggest jump for next week. I think I like how the Penguins are playing. But I mean, they're winners of 5 in a row, so you have to kind of feel like that could be, that's got to come to an end at some point. But I'll tell you another team that's got 5 in a row, and call me a homer if you want, but they're going up against the Predators. If they can beat the Predators, because the Predators are right there with them, and then on the weekend, our boys are going up against each other.
Yeah.
If the Avs can beat the Predators, not saying like the Preds are competing with them, but they are in the division. They're right there with them in the division. And then the Avs can go on and beat the Lightning. The Avs are on fire right now.
Yeah.
They are looking like the dangerous team that we knew that they could be. So they're at number 8 right now. The Minnesota Wild have lost 2 in a row. So if the Wild lose another game or two and the Avs beat the Predators and the Lightning, and let me see who they got next week real quick. There's their schedule. So they got the Lightning, and then where are we? Here we are. Predators, Lightning, and then kind of they get a couple easy games. They got the Red Wings and then the Sabres, but then the Bruins. So I could see the Avalanche being in the top 5 for the first time in a while since the beginning of the season, because they did not start the season well. So maybe 4 or 5 for the Avs.
Yeah, I think I'm being a little biased here and a huge hater, but I think that I'm really a fan of how the Wild have been playing over the last couple of weeks. And I think this is going to be the first time we're going to see in a while that the Panthers fall out of the top 4 and the Wild take their place in that top 4.
Really?
In the top 3, excuse me. So, I just think that all the teams are starting to catch up, and we'll see if your new bandwagon team, the Florida Panthers, could stick to it at the end of the season. So, but I really like the Wild now. I think they're a tough team, and they're kind of similar in terms of they don't have just one person like the Islanders that could go out there and score, but the change with that is that a lot of guys on that team could score and play physical.
Well, they do play each other on Saturday, the 18th, this Saturday.
Yeah.
Panthers and Wild play each other in Minnesota. So, yeah, and I'll be watching that game closely. If it's a close game, we'll have to see where the rankings go. But if the Wild pull away from that one and kind of the Panthers just got blown out by the Senators. Was it 8-2, 8-3?
Yeah.
So was that just chalk it up to a bad game?
Ottawa shut out my Lightning last weekend. So
Ottawa's been improving. They're number 29. They moved up one spot, but they're starting to win some games. So they're a tough opponent. They're not going to win every game, but they will be in every game.
You heard it here first, people. Chris Masilli is picking the Ottawa Senators to win the Stanley Cup this year.
If the year was 2031, you would be right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week, everybody. So let us know, because we have complete control over these power rankings. It is us and only us. At least that's what you guys think. So we'll throw them up full screen on YouTube once and for all, so you can get a good look at the power rankings. But we'll be back next week with a whole new set of rankings for everybody to get mad at us about. And that's going to wrap it up, Denker.
Yeah. Wild by a million. Wild by a million.
BetOnline.ag, that bad boy. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.